If you ask pretty much anyone what the fastest car on the street was in the early 1970s, you would likely be greeted with a lot of different answers from different people across the United States. Someone in Santa Monica might have known somebody who had a hopped-up Boss 429 that destroyed everything that it raced, while at the same time, someone in New England might have mentioned rumblings of a mythical local Corvette that packed one of the nastiest big blocks around. Speed was in the air and performance cars were a dime a dozen, but there was one turnkey dealer-built performance car that you could go ahead and buy off the lot that would immediately catapult you to street racing stardom. We're talking about potential 9-second ETs out of the box. And all that power wasn't coming from a 427 sock-powered Comet or anything. No, that car was the absolutely insane Motion 454-powered Super Vega. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Baldwin Motion and their crazy lineup of dealer-built speed machines, here's a quick rundown. Baldwin Motion was the joint effort of two companies, Baldwin Chevrolet, which was a Chevrolet dealership in Baldwin, New York, and Motion Performance, which was a performance shop that also just happened to be located in Baldwin, New York. The gist of the way it worked was that Baldwin Chevrolet would help provide the new Chevrolet cars to Motion, who would then work on making them fast, like really fast. We're talking full engine swaps and even then some. With this connection to the Baldwin Chevrolet dealership, Motion was able to deliver their cars to a wider, power-hungry customer base, and even in some cases have customers get approved to finance these new cars. Now, Motion built a variety of trick cars in the period, including Camaros, Chevelles, and even specialty Corvettes throughout the 1970s. But again, we're not talking about any of those today. We're talking about Motion's true last hurrah, their big block Vega. The first generation pre-facelift Vega that Chevrolet built from 1970 to 1973 actually was not a bad looking car at all. In fact, it looks a lot like a miniature 1970 Camaro, just a bit more pedestrianized. The Vega was an economy car made for the masses. It featured various inline 4-cylinder engine options, and none of them were particularly fast due to the 4-cylinder power plant that lived under the hood. The saving grace of the Vega, though, was that it was a front-engine, rear-wheel drive car that happened to weigh only 2,200 pounds, which made the raw chassis the perfect platform for massive acceleration if you could swap a different engine into it. People realized this, and various die-hard drag racers would gut these little Vegas and stuff V8s under the hood, and turn some very impressive quarter-mile times with them as a result. We're talking 10, even potentially 9-second cars with a crazy enough setup. And the other benefit was that these wicked fast Vegas would still be insured as a compact car, which meant significantly cheaper insurance costs than any other muscle car of the period. There were even various companies that started selling V8 swap kits for your own Vega so you could turn it into a budget V8 brawler in your own backyard. Heck, even Chevrolet themselves experimented with building a prototype small block V8 powered Vega that had an all-aluminum skunkworks built small block that they poached from their parts warehouse. The idea was that a regular V8 with an iron block would be too heavy and would make the Vega understeer like an absolute pig, but an aluminum V8 would save considerable weight and affect handling much less. This 302 cubic inch engine that Chevrolet stuffed in the Vega made it a high 13-second car with a stock turbo 350 trans and a totally stock Vega rear end. So you can imagine how with a 4-speed and a nicely geared posi, just how fast a 300 or so horsepower V8 Vega could have been. Which brings us back to the Motion Vega. Now, Motion themselves was quick to capitalize on the V8 Vega craze by offering their own turnkey V8 swapped Vegas in various degrees of craziness. Only these weren't just swap kits that you did in your garage. Although they did offer them, some of these V8 Vegas were actually delivered as the monsters that they were, 100% ready to go and installed. Turnkey Motion V8 swapped Vegas started at an MSRP of $4,000 for the most basic of small block builds, which made even the cheapest V8 Motion Vega more expensive than a brand new Z28 Camaro, which at the time had an MSRP of around $3,500. But since Motion was not a large corporate company that had to adhere to really any strict rules that anyone else did, they were able to make their cars crazy, and the sky was truly the limit in terms of what they could do when optioning out of V8 Vega. Looking at period literature, magazine adverts and such, here's what I was able to piece together. $4,000 got you a base V8 swapped Vega, probably with a decent 350 or something of that nature in it. This was nothing to write home about, but they were pretty quick still. Now, if you had money in your wallet to stretch up to $5,000, then you could afford to option out and purchase a Motion Phase 3 V8 Vega, which would come standard with the aforementioned Phase 3 350, which was a 370 horsepower LT1 small block Chevy, which by 1971 was pretty much one of the hottest motors you could get. With the Motion Vegas, you could also have them fitted with a host of other performance modifications, like a 4-speed M22 Rock Crusher transmission, a 12-bolt posi rear, and various suspension mods to help them hook up better from a dig. But it even gets crazier than that. Now, the Phase 3 came standard with this 370 horse 350, but there were other bigger and badder options. Now, customers could pony up an even larger amount of money, which I can't find an exact figure for, but imagine, maybe $6,000 or $7,000 US at the time. And with that money, they could get their car outfitted with a 427 or 454 cubic inch big block Chevy, which is absolutely manic. Now, the work required to fit a big block into a Vega was, well, a lot. Some cutting in the bell housing area had to happen, as well as custom mounts and extra exhaust work, which had to dump out the side on the big block cars. And those were just a few of the changes that had to be made for the big block equipped Motion Vegas. With these 400 to 450 plus horsepower motors, all that torque and all that horsepower made these Vegas ridiculously fast in a straight line. Granted, the big block did add a ton of weight up front, which made these cars handle pretty terribly, but anybody who bought one knew it was just for straight line speed and nothing else. And in classic infomercial fashion, but wait, there's more. Yeah, if you wanted something a bit more different than, let's say, a big block 427 Vega, then you could also get one with apparently a turbocharged or a supercharged 350 small block in it, according to a Period magazine article that was posted on a forum that I found here. With all these crazy engine options available, it's pretty clear that you could spec out your Motion Vega really however you wanted. I personally would have probably gone for the LT1 350 powered car just so it would handle okay, but let me know what you would get in the comments down below. And with the Motion Vegas, you could also get the signature Motion stripes on the side that became famous on pretty much all their other cars. Other exterior modifications included larger Krager wheels, a rear deck lid spoiler, side pipes, and even an L88 style hood were all available for the Motion Vegas. Oh, and in case the regular Vega didn't have enough space for you, don't worry, you could get the full Motion treatment on a wagon version of the Vega. Imagine cruising the streets with your Hemi Charger only to get absolutely walked by a Vega wagon. The few of these cars that were built had to upset a lot of people back in the day. And again, rumors have it that these top dog Motion Vegas could be $6,000 to $7,000 cars new, which was a ton of money to spend on a rather poorly made car with a giant engine under the hood that was practically useless unless you were trying to race. Now, actual production numbers of these Motion Vegas are somewhat of a mystery. It is rumored, according to a Motor Trend article that is linked in the description, that there are about 454 powered cars that were built before the EPA essentially went to Joel Rosen, who was the brains behind Motion, and told him that what he was doing violated their rules and basically shut him down. Now, Joel himself used to offer authentication services to help people identify if their cars were Motion vehicles for a pretty penny. However, he unfortunately passed away in 2023, which means that we may never know exactly how many Motion Vegas were built. But there certainly were a handful of turnkey cars built, and apparently some were even shipped abroad. And for many of these Vegas, since they really were built to be primarily raced and raced hard, many of them probably got wrecked or cut up at some point. So there probably are a couple rusty Vegas out there that actually are some of these wild motion cars that we just don't even know about. Either way though, the Motion Vegas are among the holy grail of dealer-built speed machines, right up there with the AMC Gremlin 401 XR. Thank you all for watching another episode of our Rare Cars documentary series. If you enjoyed this video, we would greatly appreciate it if you could drop a like and also share this video with other enthusiasts. Also, please make sure that you are subscribed to the Rare Cars YouTube channel and smash that notification bell for more documentary-style videos just like this on the world's most interesting cars. Until next time, enthusiasts.